kind of backwards of what I wanted. Okay, so who watched the video? Everyone really did. Okay, because 2 people went like this in the first block.
I watched last
And
night
it's
at
like-
10:30.
It wasn't long. It wasn't that painful, right? In comparison to homework, on the range of things, watching a video probably shouldn't be that bad. Okay, so things that we need. What are the required parts of a PC that we have to hook up a system? Okay, we need. Okay, I'll count that as power cords. How many power cords do you need?
1, 2 for the monitoring.
There we go. We have to have 2, and I make sure you guys know that because frequently I'll say, hey, go set up this PC, blah blah blah, and you come back 15 minutes later and you need the power cord. Okay, because you need one for the what? Monitor.
You need one for the tower.
And I'm going to put computer because they're not all towers. Okay, this is a tower. You can't see it. That is considered a mini desktop, but anyways, it's the computer. Okay, they're not all towers. Tower means that it stands up and down, although most people use it that way. Okay, what else do we have to have?
The monitor, the
Mouse and keyboard.
HDMI cable.
Okay, which, by the way, this is a test question. Those are the 2 primary input devices. The way you get stuff into a computer, the primary ones are the mouse and the keyboard, and the primary way you get them out of the computer, primary output devices, are the monitor, and there's one other that we haven't said yet. So
No, it's the VGA, right?
that's part of the monitor. So okay, so any other things that you would say are required to set up a PC? What? Speakers. Do I have to have them? I can put speakers over here on the optional.
You don't need the Ethernet connection.
Okay, network. I'm going to put that right here in the middle, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Okay, let's move on to optional. What other optional things can we have? It's not really part of a computer. I mean, yeah, you can have to plug it in, but I'm not going to add that because that's not really part of a PC. Network is Ethernet, same thing. Video cable, okay. I'm going to put plus cable, kind of required because if I've got a monitor, I got to have a plug. Camera?
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely like a USB camera I use the Skype with or whatever. What else? Microphone, okay. We might have a mic because if we're trying to Skype, we need a mic. Anything else? Printer. Oh yeah, okay. They took more than that first block. I was like, it's something I'm really, really close to. Okay. So there's other things too. We can have scanners, the smart board, the projector. Those are all optional stuff. So we definitely need the power cords. We definitely need a monitor with the cable. We definitely need the tower or the computer itself. We need a mouse and a keyboard. Mouse used to be optional. This is an original IBM PC right here. We didn't have hard drives then. We just had floppy drives, the original 5 1/4 floppies. There was no mouse back then. You used the arrow key to move your cursor around on the screen. Mouse, when it came along, was like magic. I could go from here to here like that. It was awesome. As a programmer, I mean, I was a programmer back then when mouse came out. When I was still at Duke when the mouse came out. And, we'd have a 20-page thing of code, and you're doing page down, page down, page down, page down, cursor, to get to where you wanted to start working at it. And then all of a sudden you have the mouse, and you just go slide down and click, and you're like, oh.
Did you have to get a whole other computer for the mouse slot?
No, those didn't take mice. We had, it wasn't until the 386 came out. That's in the 88. We don't have to go into history, but that was the original personal computer processors that didn't take a mouse. Okay, anyway, so we need a computer, mouse, keyboard, network. Optional at home, required at school. You can't log on to a computer here locally. You have to be connected to the network for it to say, yes, you may use this PC. So it's definitely required here at school. Okay, so let's see, anything else I missed? Yeah, if we want to hook up cable, smart board, and I already got those other ones. But yeah, I would say network here at school is a required thing. So we've got, these are all, I wish I had a color picture of this. I apologize that I don't. These are the different kind of things you could see on the back of the PC. We don't use them all. We use this one. It's a 15-pin one. It's usually blue to hook up a monitor to. Isn't always blue. Sometimes it's black. Okay? The other primary monitor one is this 24-pin one that's white. There's only one computer in the school that we have a DVI cable on. Okay? The cables are expensive, and all the monitors came with VGA cables, so we didn't waste a bunch of money and buy a bunch of new cables. It doesn't make that much of a difference. But those are the two monitor ones that we use. This pink parallel port connector, oh man, somebody's still got a printer that hooks up to that. It's really old. And yes, we have some. We threw away the bubble jet printers that every teacher used to have like 7 years ago, but some teachers held on to them. They really wanted them. We don't buy the ink for them anymore, so some teachers still have one that uses those. We don't have anything that uses these. So USB is the primary connector. In fact, USB and what are called PS2 are the primary connectors. PS2 is what we plug into for a mouse and a keyboard. The purple and the green plug. But really, USB has taken over almost everything anymore. In fact, these computers are here that are in the high school, that are on the teachers, they don't even have PS2, they just have a whole bunch of USB ports. When USB came out, it wasn't that fast, so it didn't immediately replace the other stuff. In fact, they had FireWire that was 50 times faster, which is why FireWire for a long time was the way cameras and stuff hooked up, but then now USB is faster than FireWire, so nobody really makes FireWire stuff anymore either. So we're going to use the USB connector. We're not going to use, I think there's only one person that has I put a FireWire card in, and that's Mr. Birdsall. And then we're going to use our LAN connector, and we're going to use the PS2, which is what those are called, connector when we connect up these PCs. Okay, first of all, the last thing we're going to ever connect is the power, okay? Always do the power last. The power should not be plugged in until you're ready to hit the power button on the front of the PC. Okay, always, always, always get everything else done before you put the black cable in there, okay? And as a note, if it has a switch, 1 equals on, 2 equals off. That's a test question, by the way. We will see that in Chapter 1 test. You'll see a picture of a PC, and it will say, based on the power switch, is this on or off? Hopefully everyone knows that 1 is on, 2 is off. Okay, we're going to plug that in last. We're going to get everything else plugged in first. Okay, we got a monitor and a keyboard on what's called a PS2 plug. Which one's purple? Keyboard's purple, mouse is green. Okay, now, those two are never flip-flopped as far as colors go, but it doesn't mean it's always right. You'll have ones that have orange. HP got creative for a while, and they had different colors than everybody else. So you can have some that are different colors. But usually if it's green, it's a mouse, and if it's purple, it's a keyboard. Okay? There's 6 pins on here. There's 6 little tiny pins, and a little piece of plastic supposed to be there. It's broken off on this one. How do they get broken off? Because people do this when they plug them in. They look for those holes. They twist them in. This is not a twisty thing that goes in. Okay? There's a little line on the mouse and the keyboard that says this way up, kind of thing. And you look at the back, and you go, oh, it goes in just like this, and it plugs straight in. Don't do this, because that's how they get mangled. You guys will, I guarantee you, this year, you go to a classroom that says the mouse and keyboard don't work, and all of a sudden say, table 3, go see what's going on, and you'll go and you look at the back of it, and they're all smashed. And they're all smashed because somebody went like this to try to put it in. And they got it in. It covered up that hole just fine, because they smashed every single one of those pins completely flat up inside there. And then they wonder why it doesn't work. Okay, so when we plug these in, we actually look for the little plastic tab. I wish I had there's a little hole right there, a little square hole. It should line up and go straight in. And make sure it's plugged all the way in. One of the tables this morning, if this computer won't log on, and I go, the first thing I do is hit the numlock key, because if it's plugged in right, if I hit the numlock key, I should get a little green light, right, when I do that. I didn't get the numlock key, and it was over the hole. That's about all I can say. Sometimes when after you let it in, you have to actually push it into the back of the PC. It can't just hang from the back of the PC, which is what the case was this morning. Okay, so we're going to hook up the mouse and the keyboard. That's one of the reasons why I always do the power last. Older PCs, you could actually fry the motherboard by plugging it in after it was turned on. Okay? current PCs, I haven't had one do that before, but if you unplug a mouse while it's running, that's PS2, and plug it back in, there's a good chance it will never find the mouse again until you restart the computer. Okay? So if you plug it in last, it's always safe for that too. Okay, so we got our mouse and keyboard. If it's not PS2, it's USB. There's only two ways to plug it in. If it won't go in one way, flip it over, it'll probably go in the other way. Okay? And it doesn't matter when you do a USB, which USB port you plug it into at all. And I'm going to say that with a caveat. Everybody know what caveat means? An aside. I have an example of when I'm not true on that. How about that? If you go to a room and it's got everything all hooked up, and I say, hey, I need you to go and replace whatever. Look and see where things are plugged in, because here's the thing. If the printer's already installed and it's plugged into that port right there, and you plug the printer back into that port, it's going to try to reinstall it because it sees it as a new printer. You don't have the drivers and the authority to install that printer. If you plug it right back into the exact same one, it sees it as the exact same printer and everything's good. So if you're going down there to a teacher's room and I said, hey, replace that video card, it's gone bad, look at it and see where it's at. Take your tablet, take a picture of the back of the PC, and you could set it up exactly the same. But as we're doing it today, we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so we've got video. I've got a video here, I got a video here, I got a video here. And I said this in the video, I think, last night. Always use this one, okay? Because all this stuff here is part of the motherboard. Okay, this is the back of the motherboard. And when you put an expansion card in, which all these things are called expansion cards, the motherboard says, oh, you put something new in, you must not like me, I'm turning me off. Okay, so it turns off that video card, and so it only is going to use this one. You can plug it in all day here. Okay, now this one actually will tell you, it has a little message. It says, an invalid video setup has been detected. Please check your video setup. What it really should say is, you plugged it in the wrong hole, dummy. Plug the video in the other one, okay? Because nobody knows what that invalid video setup was. They always call me at the beginning of the year. I don't know, I got some invalid video setup. That's what it says. So if they just would speak better English, then they would know what this is talking about. All right, so we got these two. We're going to plug it in, obviously the blue one. With teachers, they have these dual video cards, so we can do this, so we could double our monitor over to here. And we have little adapters that turn the DVI, the high quality video, into a VGA. We have a whole box of them. We always screw the monitors in when we are working on a PC that goes in place. When we're doing stuff in this room, we never, ever, ever screw monitors in. Okay? If you by the way, underneath here, there are monitors underneath all those for you guys to pop them up. Not that side, your side is screw shut. There's bare electrical wires in there. Don't open that side. The other side doesn't have any bare electrical wires. It has a keyboard, has a monitor, and has power cords. Then when we work on PCs, you guys all have a monitor to pop up top. We don't screw those in because we're just going to unplug them in a minute anyway. Okay? But at these stations here, when we go out and work on them and set them up, you definitely screw them in. Or we will be back and they will say my monitor won't turn on. Really? Okay. So we make sure they're all screwed in. Another picture, same thing, shows this one I put on there just because, some of them are black. They're not always blue. Again, these are the main ones on the motherboard, and all these are expansion cards. And the LAN card could either be on the motherboard or it could be on an expansion card, either one. And on LAN cards, they can both work, by the way. But in general, if we put another one in there, use that one. Because there's probably a reason we put the extra one in there. Another picture, this one has actually a higher channel audio, and I guess that's why I put that on here. Which one is the speakers? Okay. Green is speakers, that's usually the only one we have. Some teachers have microphones, which are pink, and the blue one is sound in, and on a teacher's computer it goes from, there's a little cable that long, that goes from the blue one here to a TV card down here, and that's what feeds the sound from the TV card into the computer. And if they call me and say, hey, there's no sound on my TV, I'm like, does the computer have sound? Yeah, you're missing the patch cord that goes between the two. I think the last one have a picture of a TV card. I don't have any with a picture of a TV card. Okay. Okay, so network. Network's required, really. We have to have it for it to work here, and it's the thing that messes us up the most in the district. You guys have the ability to bring down our whole network while you're doing this. Every year I teach you guys what I'm going to show you. Every year some team brings down our network. And then I'm running around the hallway trying to find who just plugged what in and trying to fix it. Okay? This is a switch. This is a switch. What a switch does is it takes the signal coming in from any one port and repeats it to every other one. Okay? That's how it gets the signal out and spreads the signal out from one wall plug to all the other ones.
Does it only repeat the first one you plug in?
Okay, good question. On a dumb switch, which this one is, this one goes to the wall, and yes, it would only repeat what came in from this one. These are smart switches. All of mine are smart switches. I got rid of all the dumb switches. And the reason I got rid of them is if a teacher moved one cable wrong, if they moved this to this, all of a sudden they didn't have internet anymore. These repeat everything that's coming in from every single one. The other advantage is if you wanted to send something from here to here on the dumb one, it didn't work. Okay? Now if you have a printer over here on this one and you have a computer on this one, it all works. Okay? So on these it doesn't matter what's plugged into what. Okay? But here's the problem. When this signal comes in here, it goes and sends it out to this, and to this, and to this. What happens if this cable goes back into there?
It just repeats the signal.
It repeats that signal that came into there back out to here and here and here again, and then it repeats it again, and repeats it again. And it gets into what's called an infinite feedback loop. And that crashes our network. Your network cannot handle an infinite amount of information being sent, and that's what you just did. Is you made, and in fact, if something else comes in, you have to realize it's not just going this way, it's also going this way, because that information came into here, and it's going this way, and it's going this way.
So it's just like colliding.
Yeah, well, no, it's gonna go and it's gonna come back in this port as it's coming back in this port, so it's gonna get sent back out that port while it's getting sent back out that port. And it does, it brings us down to a screeching halt really, really, really fast. Okay? It happens a lot when PCs are getting hooked up. And the reason it happens a lot is I got this whole wall of PCs with all these Ethernet cables coming out. And people just go, hey, that's loose, that must go in there, okay? This one already comes out of there. It's here to hook up a PC right here and work on it. And if I just see a random loose Ethernet cable, which is what this is, a network cable, Ethernet cable, RJ45 cable, let's see, any other synonyms? If I just see it loose and plug it in, there we go, we're down, okay? Now I have our main switches, which is what, like those are up there, set up to stop what's called a broadcast storm. And the way they stop it is they turn everybody down so slow that the network might as well be off anyway, okay? Yes, I can still save to my H drive, but that word is going to take about 3 or 4 minutes, and you may be, oh crap, I'm out of here, I gotta go, you know, because it does, it has to slow it down, so it slows every single port down so much. So we don't want to have this happen.
Is that why, like, sometimes in the computer lab you'll just be sitting there and all of a sudden your internet will just stop, basically?
It very well could be. In fact, we had a problem with the new Wi-Fi that I just put in, that it caused a feedback loop because I had them on both sides of the district and they only worked if they're all talking together. So we just redid the wireless actually last class. So anyways, my point here is that's one of the reasons that when we go to set up a system, we pull everything out, we set it all down, and then we start back again. Because if it's going back to the channels of a table, and then all of a sudden it's the same color cable, I only got 3 colors of cables. So yes, could this be a different cable? It could be the same cable. I can tell. You can't tell by just looking at the colors.
You know how you want us to pull the wall out or whatever? What if there's a class going on? How would we do that?
You're still gonna just gonna set it down here on the ground right by where you're working. Now, there's a couple rooms that we're not gonna pull them out on. Those are ones that are hardwired, like Mr. Studebaker's and Paulette Thompson's. Those are hardwired. They're going through channels. They don't get pulled out. You're good with those. Okay. I'm talking about mainly the 4 and 5 desk spots that they definitely got pulled out in the hall. And they definitely got brought back.
So like Mr. Chapman's over?
Pardon?
like Mr. Chapman's
Yes,
over?
yeah. And you guys, that's where you guys are gonna start. You guys are gonna start down in the Perry, Harrison, Chatwood area. Okay? You guys are gonna start on the first floor, down there on the middle school. So, big deal. It has to come out and terminate at a device, not back into itself, or it causes a feedback loop and it's really bad. So, if we're gonna, when we put them together, we unplug and pull everything out. We make sure we've got the right number of parts, which we should, but we won't always. I guarantee you, when they pull stuff out in the hallway, if you've ever been here in the summer, all the stuff is down the middle of the hallway, stuff ends up back in the wrong room. Okay? So you could end up short a keyboard, or short a mouse, or short a cable, okay? Put the PCs and the monitors back where you want them, put them nice and even. Okay, do I care whether they're beside or behind? I really don't. That's teacher preference. I personally like them behind just because I think with this here, I don't have much room to put a book and work, where with the flat screens, if I put that back there, which there's enough room almost right now without even moving it to get the PC back there. So, whatever makes it look nice, really. But I do want, if it's sideways, I want the face of it, like that one is, facing the door so you don't walk in and see all the backs of the PCs.
Back to the, if you plug it, like, move it back in, if you unplug it, does that fix it?
Yes.
Right away?
As soon as you unplug it, it fixes it.
Alright.
So that's why I'm like, whoever plugs something in, unplug it. Right now. You know, and I've had my tech students do it too. Billy Shepard did it last year. He didn't fess up to it until like 6 weeks later. He's like, yeah, it wasn't Ryan, it was me. He's like, I knew it was you. Anyway. Okay, so wire all the externals, keyboard, mouse, network, monitor stuff. Tie up any extra wires. I have zip ties. I forgot to take them first of all. I have zip ties. I'd rather not use the zip ties if we can avoid it. And the reason I say that is anything we zip tie, maintenance is going to unzip tie anyway over the summer. However, if a zip tie is the only way, and man, I don't have any left. If a zip tie is the only way to keep those cables up, if it's like this one over here, and the one I showed you in the video, it's got channels, you don't need a zip tie, because you got nice channels to put it all in anyway. But if it's a big mess and you have to use a zip tie to hold them up behind there, then do that. And I've got wire cutters, what did you say? I've got wire cutters on the cart. There's a cart that's going to be in the hallway. I didn't bring it all the way back. The cart has 3 boxes of Ethernet cables in it. I don't have a real Ethernet cable. I'll pretend this has ends on it. 3 boxes of Ethernet cables. There's some that are 3 feet. They're short. There's a box full of 6 feeders. There's a box full bigger than 6 feeders. As you guys are doing this, don't just use the cables that you pulled out. Use the cable that's the right size. They had that first block. They had one. All 3 of the computers are right here on this one hexagonal table. And they all had big, huge 10-foot Ethernet cables where a 3-foot one would work. Because the switch is sitting right there. So they just pulled them all out, take 3-footers. Because if you use short cables, you don't have to tie anything up. There's nothing sitting around all over the place. Okay, so tie them up if you need to so that they're as hidden as possible. It would be nice to have it, not that, it would be nice to have it so all I see is the mouse and that keyboard wire when I'm done, and everything else is either stuff behind the PC or stuff behind the monitor. You're like, why? It goes back to what I talked about last time. First of all, if it's not out and visible, nobody's going to grab and pull on it, most likely. Okay? And if it looks nice, maybe they'll treat it nice. And I say maybe. There's still kids that end up at 3rd Street after smashing a bunch of stuff. And, you know, we can't help them. But okay, so the last thing we're going to do is plug in the power, and then we're going to test the system. And when I say test the system, that means start it up, log in as you, and then either check the web or the H drive, but we're really going to check the web because you're going to log into the wiki that you're done with that room, and I'm going to show you what I mean. And then make sure you log off when you're done. If you can get to the wiki, to the internet, your system works. You're good. Okay? So, what am I talking about when I talk about the wiki? Right up here, up top, it says Classroom PC Checklist. That's the wiki. Has everybody here used a wiki? No? Okay. So, a wiki is just something you can edit. All of us can edit. We just can't all edit it at the same time. Oh, you know what? If I made it a Google Doc, we could. That would make it less painful. I might do that. We won't worry about that today, but I might change it to a Google Doc because that really would make more sense. So I come into here and I click Edit. I'm going to scroll down so I can see it. And then I usually go full screen. And if we look at the page, this is what it looks like. It has the room number, how many PCs I think are in there based on the last time they were checked last year, who made the PC, and it says team leader and team helper. You guys are just working together right now. Nobody's the team leader right now. Just one initial on one and one initial on the other. Setup issues, it should just say good if everything worked, or if something didn't work that you couldn't fix, you put it in there. Won't boot. You know, computer number 3 won't turn on or whatever. Okay, and then my tech kids right now, I'll get back to it. So you guys are going to be starting right here. It's supposed to have 5 Dell computers. You know, if it says Dell, it's a Dell. That's about how micro means these are Midwest Micro made all these. Or we bought the parts from Columbus Micro, so they actually should say Columbus Micro, not Micro or Micron, because we don't have any Microns. So make sure the number's right. Check it off as you're done. So basically, if you're done with 301, you just go in here, put one set of initials, the word good, and then if you read up top, it also said, I want you to highlight it. You guys are green, so you're just going to highlight the box. You're going to pick the little paint bucket. You're going to pick the green right up here at the top. Okay? That's so when it's all done, I can easily say which one was orange 2 and which one was the wrong one. And I know you guys are done. So you guys are using this top corner green right there to do that. Fill it out, hit save, and then look at it. And the next room that doesn't have initials on it and no one's in is the next one you're going to go to. So you guys are going to start in 301. You guys are going to start in 303. You guys are going to start in 305. And I'm going to have you help them in 303 because they've got so many computers. Okay? So you'll probably only get one room done today. In fact, nobody even got one room done today. They got it all hooked up, but they didn't even have a chance to check all the PCs. Okay? So, by the way, when you're at the point where you're checking all the PCs, turn all of them on. Log into all of them. Don't log into one and wait and open the wiki. And then log into the next one. Just get logged into all of them. You'll know right away if they all work or not. Okay? And then sign off the wiki. Nobody can get into it. You have to minimize it and then go down here and hit save before the next person can open it up. Which is why I might change it into a Google Doc. Because then you could have it open, you could have it open, you could have it open, and it would be easier to edit on the tablet because it'd be shared on your Google Docs and just be on there. So I think I'm going to change that. Probably not today, but before next class I'll have it done because I'm not going to be able to do it right now. Questions? Cart's going to be in the middle of the hall. It's got spare keyboards, spare mice. I'm going to put the zip ties on it. It's got wire cutters to clip off the end of the zip ties so don't leave them sticking out real far. It's got extra power cords. I'm going to take this switch down, and so we have at least one spare switch. Oh, I didn't say that. Not all of these plug into all of these, and when I say this, I mean anything, okay? If you plug the wrong power cord into the wrong device, you can ruin it. And most power supplies say on them, like this one does, it says it's 7.5 volts, 1 amp. That's what comes out. It says on output. And if I look at this one, it says underneath here, 7.5 volts, 1 amp. So if I plug this, right there, if I plug this in there, it's going to work. If you put in something that's too high a voltage or too high amperage, this looks much smaller. It puts out 5 volts. Okay? That's 8 times what that one puts out. If this fit, which it doesn't, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't. But if it fit, and I plug this in, it might turn on and light up. But probably wouldn't work very long. Okay? So if you're in doubt, please ask or look at the label on there on the switch and stuff. And obviously the switch should be lit up with the same number of things that you have plugged in, one for the wall, one for each PC. I do like it if you put it like the first PC, the second PC, the third PC kind of. And that's not, it doesn't make any difference on how it works. it's the third PC won't log on, and if I go down to the switch and see the third light is out, it's pretty obvious what the problem is if we just hook them up that way in the first place. It's just to make it easier for us later. So screw things in if you can, get them as tight as you can, keep it as clean as you can, and that's just so it looks nice, but also people don't screw with you, and you don't have to go back later and do it again. Okay, does everybody know where we're going? Okay, I don't need to give you guys keys, but if I ever, because they're all open and in session right now, but if, and by the way, I have to make passes. You guys are going to have passes. I haven't done that yet. I keep forgetting. That I'm going to have hung up over there that you guys are all going to put on. I think I'm going to get lanyards or something to wear whenever we go out. So you can just go like this when you go to the door. Mr. Fisher wants me to have passes, which makes sense. But if I ever do give you my keys, even if I'm not here, just leave them there. Please don't take them home with you. I've had students drive all the way back to school to give me my keys back before, and that's as much of a pain for you as it is for me. It's always my tech kids, because it's always fourth block. If you keep them second block, you're going to hear me paging. Whoever has Mr. Poole's keys, can you please tell me? And everybody doing that? Oh, crap. Okay. No questions? Everybody know where they're starting? If you get done with that room, just look in the next room that's empty and go to the next room that's empty. We're basically starting on the first floor, all the way at the end of the hall, and we're working our way back. It'll take us a week to get done with one floor, and probably another week to get done with the other floor. Today we'll go slow, especially you guys got Perry's room. Too bad for you. She's got these kind of tables with the channels. It just goes slower. You pull everything out and then you start putting it in. And you guys really will need to look at the length of the cables, because I think her cable lengths are all screwed up. Okay, let's go. And I'll get the card out of the teacher's lounge.
You just want us that out?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sore.
So Mr. Poole, these aren't gonna be all plugged for us. We're just unplugging everything, plugging it.
There's no way of knowing before we get there.